A national hui called by the Maori King will begin at Ngaruawahia on Thursday. The King wants to unite all Maori on how they will deal with the Crown over the claims surrounding water rights. It follows a recommendation by the Waitangi Tribunal that asset sales be delayed until the issue of rights is clarified. Now, one iwi is already well down the track of taking responsibility for the Waikato River. Tainui co-manage the river with the Crown under an authority to protect and restore the waterway. It's not, however, ownership, but the co-chair of the Waikato River Authority says that's ultimately what he wants. This report from Natasha Smith.
The waters of our longest river were once the backdrop to the Waikato Maori Wars. It's hard to believe, but armoured gunboats once patrolled these banks, and it's about to become the scene of a modern-day battle over just who owns this water. A spokesman for the Maori King says it's the most important issue Māori have ever faced. Out here near Port Waikato, Pakeha Stu Muir and his son Sandy call these waters home.
How's it going? Sweet? Cool.
6 generations of Muirs have farmed by the river and all have grown up speaking te reo.
Oh, te roti ki te raki raki. Kao, raki raki.
And here, where whitebaiters mark out their territory, Māori water rights are respected.
Whenever we've wanted to do anything on the river, you just go and ask whichever kaumātua is, you know, that's their part of the river, and that's all I've ever done. Oh, come on, was it all right if I stick a patch there, or do you mind if I clear up that, or, you know, and to me, that's the authority that I look to, you know, and the other people that use the river. I mean, that's just equally important. You don't go, you know, you ask the other people that are around you, and people come to us, you know, if they wanted to go up the papa or do things, it's just respect.
The Waikato is one of the most polluted rivers in the country. Stu Muir is one of a number of people who've received funding from the Waikato River Authority to help clean it up. He's recreating spawning ground for more whitebait to return to the region.
You know, what they want is pretty much what most people want. They want a clean river, you know. That's not radical. You know, that's just a basic, you know, all rivers should be clean. You know, your kids should be able to swim in them. You should be able to eat the fish out of them, you know. What the hell else is a river for?
The authority was born out of Tainui's water settlement with the Crown in 2010. It's a world first, a co-management scheme between iwi and the Crown. It's been given $210 million by the government over the next 30 years to restore and protect the river. Tuku Morgan is the former Tainui chair and now spokesman for the Maori King. He helped negotiate the current water agreement.
When we scoured the globe to find a model of co-management, co-governance, we couldn't find it. And so this was born out of an expectation by our people to, in a meaningful way, exert some governance influence over the health and well-being of our ancestral river.
While the Waikato River Authority is seen as New Zealand's only real co-governance agreement between Māori and the Crown, it still has limited powers, begging the question, is it any more than a clean-up fund? While its overall vision is binding, the Council still has control of water allocation, and that burdening question of who owns the water still remains. Waipa Mayor Alan Livingston is a member of the authority. He says the co-management structure works well, but its powers are limited.
We have no legal powers. Clearly, our basis for achieving that is the financial amount that has been provided by central government, and with partnerships with all interested parties, we are going to achieve that, but there's no enforcing, and probably that's a positive thing.
So far, the authority's funded $6 million worth of clean-up projects like Stu Muir's, but Alan Livingston says restoring and protecting the river is the scope of the authority's role.
As far as the River Authority goes, I don't believe that it's a role that it's going to have to play as I don't see it as a regulator, put it that way.
It's the Waikato Regional Council that really controls the water. It determines allocation rights. Councillor Paula Southgate says it's working with iwi to grow its influence in many areas of council work, but water allocation is off the table.
We see it as a matter between iwi and the Crown. Now, for example, you may be aware we made a variation to our own plan a year ago, the water variation number 6, and that was around allocation. And at that time it was determined that we did not have the scope or the mandate to deal with allocation of water specifically to iwi. And that decision was upheld by the Environment Court process. Iwi partners in the region do understand that. So now that leaves that as a matter for iwi to negotiate with government.
And iwi want to start that discussion. Tuku Morgan sees co-management under the Waikato River Authority as just the beginning for Tainui.
What the co-management doesn't give us is the management of the water, per se. It doesn't give us the ability to allocate water, and that's a role that the regional council has. And for that to change, it's got to go to another set of negotiations with the Crown, and that comes under the ambit of the who determines and how ownership is determined between both parties.
Morgan says he wouldn't want to preempt the outcome of next week's hui, but unlike Alan Livingston, he could see the authority playing a role in managing water.
The River Authority is well placed to assume the kind of responsibilities that are currently held with the Regional Council, and that's an issue to be taken and to be debated by members of the authority. We haven't had that discussion. That'll have to come as a result of a decision and a change of legislation with the Crown.
There's a whole lot of different forces competing for this water. Mahi Drysdale trains on the Karapiro. What will that mean for those people?
The current status will not change. I mean, just because the responsibility of water management or water allocation sits with the authority or whomever, will not change the manner in which people use the river. So the Mahi Drysdale and other people on Lake Karapiro will continue to happen.
And what about pricing the precious commodity?
If the River Authority were to assume the current responsibility of the Regional Council, it's exactly what the Regional Council does. They charge for water, they allocate water. And if the Crown was of a view to pass that responsibility to the Waikato River Authority, clearly they'll have to come and talk to us. So as members of the Waikato River Authority, we'll have to have that conversation. We haven't had that conversation. It would be no different to what the Regional Council does right now.
Allocation is already a hot issue in the Waikato. Any talk that there may be a change to water rights makes federated farmers nervous. Hamilton President James Houghton says the authority is working well as it is, but there's a lot of uncertainty about the future.
The whole rural community, the agriculture sector, wants certainty about their access to water and how it is going to impact on their business. We don't want to see another layer of bureaucracy in there to add cost. We struggle with the ownership of a natural resource like sunlight, wind and water, because it is so there today. It is just a natural cycle, and it's something that how do you control it?
Federated Farmers believes the right place for the allocation debate is in a broader national structure, like the Land and Water Forum.
I believe that the community should, not just Maori, the whole community should manage that process. And to me, it's not us and them, it's collectively we need the community working together to decide our future together and working together. That's what I want to see, and that's what I want, is every sector taking responsibility for what they actually do, and also be part of how we distribute the resource going forward.
And next week, as Māori meet their king here at Tūranga Waiwai Marae, pressure will mount on John Key. We'll have to estimate the tolerance of National's core Pākehā support and how realistic the threat from Māori actually is. Tuku Morgan is expecting an enormous turnout at next week's hui and says no one should underestimate how important this issue is to Māori.
It is without a doubt the most significant issue to challenge our people. It's the reason why we must talk in our own unique way, in our own time and in our own space and on Tūranga Waiwai.
Tuku Morgan speaking to Natasha Smith there.